Well, good morning and welcome to my part 2 of our raw food demo. I'm so excited about the recipes we're going to do today. We have 5 amazing recipes. And before we get started, we're going to have a word of prayer. So if you all can please bow your heads with me. Righteous Father, what a beautiful day this is, and what a beautiful time we've shared together. God, we again invoke your presence through your Holy Spirit, the Spirit of Yeshua. We ask to be with us and that you will bless our time today and that we will be encouraged, Lord, to step higher with our health and our diet. In Jesus' name, amen. Okay, so first off this morning, I want to introduce my beautiful and lovely assistant and soon-to-be intern at More Moms Organized for Raw Eating. And hopefully with you in tow, we can do more classes at the school. And even while I've been here, I've had requests from a church in Sacramento, and they want a kids program. Well, it's a really huge deal. You know, this is like you're managing a bunch of kids and they're doing what I'm doing. Okay. What are you talking about?
He's talking about it.
So it's a big deal when you've got 5, 6, and sometimes even 8 kids around a table and they're using the equipment and they're making the recipes. It's a lot of fun, but it is quite the logistical thing to have enough staff and to be prepared to go. So with my sous chef,
I can herd them.
she can herd them. No, she can help me, and it'll be so fantastic. You don't know how badly I needed help.
Well, I think I'm
Not to mention I'm an old lady and you're young and beautiful. So
you're so beautiful.
Well, thank you.
Really beautiful.
All right. At every stage of development, right? Okay. So first off, we are going to make something called a mock salmon. All of these recipes will be available to you. I'm going to share them with Melody, Sister Melody. So you want to be sure to open her email because hopefully it'll be in the next newsletter she sends out. How many of you are familiar with like sea vegetables? This is called dulse. I love dulse, and it is what I'm putting in the mock salmon. We don't have any kelp, do we? We only have that other wakame stuff. That's it? Melody doesn't have any either? Okay. So I like the purple dulse, and this is harvested in Maine. I think it's in Maine. Yes, in Maine. And it's just got a really good flavor.
So it's Atlantic Ocean.
Yes. And it's very high in mineral content and vitamin A, calcium, vitamin C, iron, and of course a good source of iodine. So I will sit and eat a whole bag because I just love it. So, but it is coming in long strings like this, like it would a sea vegetable. And so what I'm going to do is you can buy it in a flake. You don't want to get the powder. It's just too powdery. But if you get the flake, that's good. And then you can use it in your recipes. And it's real pretty. I think it's got a real, you know, I'm all about look. So it's got a really neat look to it. So what I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this in our high-speed blender. And we're going to make a flake out of this. Now, for those of you that don't have, you want to put this in the bowl, sweet sis, and then you can kind of hold it up in front of the camera there. For those of you that don't have a high-speed blender, I love the Vitamix. I've had Blendtec. Melody's got a Blendtec. It just doesn't, I don't feel I have enough control over it. I got to push buttons to get it to stop, and I'm all confused. This, I like to be in control. I can adjust the dial and turn it off and on, and I appreciate that. So, actually, yes, if you could please rinse it out. So I really prefer the Vitamix, and of course, Costco is the best source for that. So today, before we get started making our mock salmon, I am going to do one of my favorite recipes, and this is called a cauliflower taco. So cauliflower taco meat, I love it because it's so easy. And actually, you could eat it raw. We've done it raw. But when you bake it, it's lovely. It looks like ground beef to people. And the flavor is really rich when you bake it. So this can go either way, raw or cooked. And the recipe is calling for some walnuts. So we're going to put some walnuts in here. And dear sweet sis, I'm going to hand things back off to you. Well, yes, we're getting acclimated to working together. Oopsie doodles. What am I doing?
This is our second time.
All right, so I just want to make room so everybody can see here. If you can't see, squish in, all right? So we're going to take our cauliflower, and your cruciferous vegetables are very, very good for you. They are cancer fighting. And we're just going to chunk this up, rough kind of chop it to put it in there. And I'm going to save a little piece for something special, and I'll show you that. So one more piece there. And so we're just going to rough chop this and get this into our food processor. What I mean by rough chop is just kind of miscellaneous, sundry pieces, chunks. And we're going to put it right in our food processor. Hopefully not overwhelm it. If you overwhelm it, it's not going to get processed as well.
Have you ever tried blending walnut?
Yes, because I get people that are allergic to the walnut. So you could use a pecan with that. So the answer to that is yes. Then the recipe calls for some spice. And you see how I love to cook. I eyeball it. But you'll get an actual recipe. But people always ask me, well, how'd you do that? It's like, yeah, a little bit of this, a tad of that, and a little bit pinch. You know, it's kind of hard for me to that's why I never was really a good baker, because baking, you have to be more precise. And you see how I roll. I'm like, brrr. Chili powder. Yes, thank you. That was cumin. Now we're going to add some chili powder. This is really going to give it some color here and also some good flavor. Okay, then what we want to add, and I'll just take this out for our next recipe, is our garlic. You can't have this without some yum garlic. So we're going to put a couple of garlics in there with that, and I've got this, and our salt. A little bit of that. Okay, so for our garlic, I'm going to go ahead and use my microplane just to make sure that nobody gets a big fat chunk, that it all kind of gets mixed in, because we're not going to process this super smooth, because this is supposed to be kind of the consistency of a ground beef. So we just tap, tap, tap. We run along this, and you got to be careful with this microplane. It is pretty sharp, and I have in certain demos ripped my tissue. It was so embarrassing when your finger gushes blood and you're making food for the people to eat. Real appetizing, huh? It's like, I thought this was vegan. So we're going to put some onion in there. And I'm going to, again, just rough chop this, get some big chunks, and we can kind of distribute it in there evenly. And I'm going to go ahead and let that go, and then we're going to add our tomato paste. So we're going to process this. And again, I forgot salt. Let's put our salt in there. Again, we don't want to process this, over-process it. Because if we do that, and it is cauliflower walnut butter, nobody's going to enjoy it. Cauliflower walnut butter. Nope, they're not going to like that. Okay. This actually can go in the kitchen if they want to make more. So I'm just making one batch. All right, here we go. Just really got to watch it because, again, I don't want to make cauliflower walnut butter. And sometimes if it's not processing well enough, that's what could happen. So you got to stir it, get those walnuts, or put less in your vessel so it stirs better. All right, I've got some big chunks of cauliflower that are kind of sticking up on top. But this is looking a nice color. And I'll let you all see it in a minute. It's very nice. I like to have this not just as a taco meat, but I'll put this on my salad. Added protein on the salad. Sometimes when you pulse it, it actually, the stop and go, it processes it a little better, gets it down in there. I am using our S blade on our food processor. Almost done here. Okay, we're just about there. Go around the sides, and now I'm going to add some tomato paste, and this is really going to give it some color. I'll just let you have that, my beautiful assistant. She's beautiful. Yes. Okay, so we want to just do it a little bit. I don't want to overprocess it. So because we're going to be baking this, I have our baking sheet with a piece of parchment paper just to keep the sheet from being a real hassle when you go to clean it. And I'll let y'all see what this looks like. And I'm also stirring it a little bit so that the red gets mixed in there a little bit. Let you see what that looks like. Yes, Baba. And we are going to have to clean that. So we're going to put this out on our parchment. And for those of you in front, you can probably smell it. Thank you. Another beautiful and lovely assistant. God is good to me. So the way I like to kind of spread it out, I don't spread it real smooth. I like to just kind of let it do its thing to where we kind of have chunks. When it bakes, it's not all smooth. And this is going to brown in the oven. And it's not going to be as mushy. It's going to crisp up. So I'm going to put this in an oven at 400 degrees. And then we're going to leave it for about 10 minutes. Now, you watch it because you want to kind of go in there after 6 minutes or so and maybe take a spatula to it and flip it a little bit. But this honestly cooks very quickly, and it doesn't even need to cook that much. Really what you're looking for is just color, again, and texture. So just by throwing it in the oven, we're going to make the color more appetizing than raw burger. It's going to look like cooked burger. And it's going to get a little crispy. So my beautiful and lovely assistants, I will have you take this back. And then when it's done cooking, if we can bring it back out for everyone to see. Can you rinse that off, sweetheart? about 10 minutes, and then about halfway through, look at it and flip, 400. Okay, so that was fun and quick, right? So we're going to go ahead and prepare this. Now I remember what I wanted that for. Yes, I wanted that for my cauliflower, that extra bowl, but I got another one. So while I've got the food processor nice and clean, I'm going to go ahead and prep my cauliflower for another recipe that I'm doing. And I'm essentially making cauliflower rice. How many of you have had cauliflower rice? Yes, cauliflower rice is wonderful. They actually sell this. Do you guys have Trader Joe? You do? Yes. Cauliflower rice is really nice, like in a tabbouleh made with cauliflower. Have you ever tried that? Where you're just doing the cauliflower rice, chopped parsley, little onion, and lemon, salt. Not a whole lot of trouble, and it's just fantastic. It's nice and fresh. It's a wonderful thing. So I'm just going to make some quick cauliflower rice for one of my recipes, and you'll see what I'm using it for. So in this instance, I want to pulse it because I think if I turned it on, it might smush it, and I don't want it smushy. So we're just going to make rice. So we just let it go a little bit. And then when you see that it's looking a little bit like rice, I can go a tad bit more. You just don't want to over-process it. It's pretty good, but maybe a tad more. I like things just right because I want it to have a certain look. And my beautiful assistant, I'm going to have you take this out, and that will need to be rinsed. We're going to take this out of this container and put it in a bowl here. But this is your cauliflower rice. And as you can see, you've got little bits, like little kernels of rice in there. And I'm done. Actually, I may need another bowl, another little bowl. I'll go ahead and do this. And if you can rinse it out. Okay, thank you.
I meant I was going to watch the thing.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, you need to do it too. While she's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and juice some lemon here for my next recipe. Use this opportunity. I really like using fresh ingredients. It just tastes better. I mean, sure, you could use, jarred garlic and bottled lemon juice, but it tastes just so much better when you use fresh things. And I told you my story about using things that aren't organic, and I'm back on the organic plan, even though it costs a little more, especially with the foods that are considered more dirty. You know what I'm saying? There are some foods that are more clean, such as like a cauliflower and avocado, but there are some things that you just really want to eat organic. A pepper. Spinach. Spinach is one of the most lethal. It's got like 90 some chemicals on it. They put fungicides on it. Yeah. Fungicides. Can you imagine? Like if you go in Trader Joe's, a lot of their packaged salads with the kale and the spinach, they're not organic. And they put those chemicals on it to preserve the shelf life so they don't grow fungus and mold. So I just, I know you think you're doing a healthy thing by getting a Trader Joe's salad, but honestly, it's very concerning to me. I've not seen them organic in Trader Joe's. They're usually, their packaged salads don't say organic. So when I'm traveling, this is what I'll do, is I'll get the finger veggies that are organic, like the pea pods, the carrots, the broccoli, the cauliflower. I'll get some organic hummus. I will do, their organic juices, and I'll also just go to the refrigerated section where they usually have like organic packaged spring mix in a little container, or arugula. There's a way to get around it, so when you're traveling, you can eat healthfully. So that's kind of what I do. I just have little finger foods, and a lot of times we'll make our raw crackers and take those with us. So I have my lemon juice ready. And next, we can do our mac cream. Now, I want to tell you about this phenomenon, mac cream. It is an amazing thing, and this is a lot here. I'm looking at this wondering if I should take a shortcut and do it all together, but I want it really smooth, but I'm going to go ahead. So I'm going to make a really big batch of this because we've got 3 pizzas back there, and I want to make some mock salmon with it. Mac cream is made out of macadamia nuts, cashews, lemon, garlic, and it's pretty simple, but it makes a really white, creamy spread. You could use it as a faux cheese or as a mayonnaise or spread. So we're going to take our cashews that have been soaked. I soak these. And I'm going to have you take that.
You need another bowl?
I'm sure I will. So we've got our cashews in here. Again, we're going to make this really smooth. And then we're going to put our macadamia nuts. Now, these are raw. Actually, I could have. Usually the roasted ones are a little softer. So these are raw, so they're hard. So I'm going to have to add a little more water because I did not consider these were raw, which is good. It's better, but usually when you get them at Costco, they're roasted. So I'm going to add our cashews. And I've got a big vessel here. We're going to add our salt. This is one of those things where you need to taste before you serve. We're going to add some garlic. It's got lots of garlic in it. I like it real garlicky. Now the thing with this stuff is so creamy and beautiful and glorious. If you did not add the garlic to it, you could actually sweeten it up and make like almost, it looks like a mascarpone. You know, something white and creamy that you could put in a dessert kind of thing. It's real pretty. You could make a fruit pizza. You see, I'm using a lot of garlic. But it's good for you. Okay, we'll try it with that. We'll do some taste testing with our beautiful assistant here, and she's going to tell me what it needs. Okay. All right, let's try it with that. We got that, and we were going to put I'm going to use all of this. It's going to be very lemony. Lemony and garlicky. I like it that way. And then we're going to have to use some water, and we'll need a little extra. Now, this is something that I would suggest you kind of eyeball it, because put a little bit in, start to process it, and then add more. Because you want this like a hummus consistency, not like a soup. It can easily become a soup if you put too much in. So let's let this process. This may have to go a minute. All right, while that's doing its thing, let's go ahead and get our carrot pulp over here with our bowl, dear sweet sis. That is looking pretty. Now again, I will give you some recipes that have the precise amount of water, but you really should eyeball it to make sure it's not too runny. You don't want it too soupy. That's probably plenty of water. You could do it in here However, because I don't have a plunger, it would be very difficult to get this the right consistency. Okay. Yes, that's pretty good. So with our mock salmon, you all hear me okay? Or should I wait? You hear me? Okay. With our mock salmon, we're going to use our carrot pulp. This is very dry. We've used a Green Star juicer that gets the pulp really dry. And in this, we're going to put a little bit of onion. And I mean a little bit. It's pretty potent. I've got a red onion here. And I like using the red because of the color. I'm, again, all about what something looks like. So we're going to use a red, and we're going to just really micro dice this. What I mean by micro dice is we're going to get it super small. And just a note about using a chef knife, and this is actually a very nice chef knife. I'm so thankful. When you use a chef knife, you're actually not lifting it up off the board. Okay, we actually want to make contact with the tip of our knife on the board, and then what you're doing, a good grip on your knife, you could even have your thumb on the butt of the knife, but what you're doing is you're pushing down with the butt of the knife, and you're just going up and down, and your knife is never leaving the cutting board. So you can see it's a rocking motion too. And it's really all about proper body mechanics and just getting the thing of it, because once you get this, you don't really even have to look. I can talk to you and not worry about chopping my fingers out. Okay, if you have a really potent onion, what you can do is put this in a little mesh screen and then run warm water over your onion. By doing that, you're going to take out some of the pungency of the onion. But again, remember, raw food is very flavorful and strong. So if you double your recipe, you may not need to double your onion. You may not need to double your salt and that kind of thing. You really need to taste things when it comes to raw food to get it just right. So I do have some onion in there. A little bit to add some flavor. And we're going to check this out. See what this tastes like and what it needs. And there it is. You can see how pretty that is, huh? It is beautiful. Isn't it beautiful? Look at that.
It's like hummus.
It does. It should kind of resemble hummus. Are you ready to taste?
Or pizza?
Pizza and our mock salmon. What does it need? Tell me.
Perfect.
You know Beethoven? You know Beethoven, how he didn't need to hear the music? That's with me and food. You know, you can just look at it and you're like, yeah, that did the job. Okay, great. Thank you. So I'm going to put some of this in our mock salmon dish. And what else do I have I'm doing here? I'm going to need this vessel again. So what I need you to do, my lovely assistant, is just to put the cream in there. And let's, oopsie daisy, I'm all out of spoons already. Okay. Just a spoon. Maybe I don't need it. Yes. I need a little bit more in here, sis.
Not too much?
Nope. So I'm pretty generous when it comes to putting the mac cream in with the carrot pulp. Carrot pulp is not going to have much of any flavor, so you really need the flavor from that mac cream. And you're going to see that it looks kind of salmon-y. Thank you. We're going to, I see a chunk of, oh, that is a cashew. Now, if it's a chunk of garlic, we want to get that out of there because we don't want anybody biting into a chunk I was doing a demo once, and this lady bit into the cucumber. I don't know what I made. I don't remember, but oh, she was just offended with me. She had to have a word with me afterwards that I had served her a bitter cucumber.
No.
That I had not tasted it. You know, that doesn't sear your frontal lobe forever. You know, it's just like you will forever taste everything before you serve it to anyone. Yes. All right. So I just wanted to get that nice and mixed up. And to perhaps lower the fat on this, you could add some carrot juice instead of more of the nut cream. That would moisten it up. So what we're going to do now is I want to add some fresh dill. There's nothing that rivals the fresh dill in this recipe. You can't use the dry, it's not the same. Yes, we're going to add that as well. So we're going to go ahead and just cut the leaves of this fresh dill. And this is going to make it just beautiful. It's going to give it a really nice flavor. And it's going to make it very pretty. You could use all cashews if you wanted. Another thing I have used is almonds. If you were to blanch your almonds, which is a bit of pain, but you can get a very healthy substitute for this with blanched almonds. You could trade those out for the cashews and even the macadamia nuts. All right, so we have our dill. I'm going to mix that in, and then I'm going to put some of our dulse in there. And this is going to be amazing. This is best when it sits overnight to kind of marinate those flavors. So we might have this tomorrow, I don't know, on some. I usually make some raw crackers, similar to the pizza crust that we saw. But it will taste better tomorrow. Have any of you taken pictures of anything going on up here? Because it would be nice if you could share those with me. You all have my personal cell phone if you have one of my business cards. And if you just share that with me, I'd be tickled to death because it's hard to get pictures of stuff when you're doing it. Okay, I'm going to let y'all see this. And you can see just how beautiful this dish really is. I think it's beautiful. So don't throw out that carrot pulp. It has many uses. You can use it for carrot pulp is good in desserts for like a raw carrot cake, even. And there's just many uses. You can use it in raw burgers and things like that. So anyway, this is going to taste really good after it marinates, probably overnight.
Please follow up. Please follow up. Please follow up. Please follow up.